Hi there. After an exceptionally dry and sunny spring, we've finally had some rain in the last week, and indeed many places have had more rain in the last week than they did for the whole of May. So this map shows the radar estimated rainfall accumulations for the last week, and it's very similar to the graph that Fred showed in his video last week, which was for the whole of May. And you can see many places are in the same sort of levels, have seen the same amount of rain over the last week than they did in the whole of May, although it's worth noting northwestern parts were a lot wetter in Fred's graph last week. But you can see parts like East Anglia, which saw sort of 10 to 20 millimetres of rain in the last week, which is much more than they saw through the whole of May. And indeed much of northern England as well, where some places recorded 30 to 40 millimetres and some places even more than this. So we've definitely had some of the rain that we've needed, and I'm sure this will have made a lot of difference to the soil moisture content for many places too. In particular, Riseholme in Lincolnshire. You'll recognise this graph from last week where Fred showed a similar version to this. And this is just showing how things has changed. So you can see last week where at the end of May we were in quite a low period, that fall in the graph there. However, in the last week, with all that rain that we've seen, we've had the line rise again, which is great news. We're now into the sort of whiter colours, so closer to average. It is worth noting though that we're still fairly close to those pink colours, so we're not out of the woods yet, but we're definitely on an upward trend, as it were, and getting closer to that grey line, which is average for the time of year. Now let's see if that will continue. Let's go on to the forecast. So this is where the jet stream stands at the moment, currently with quite an amplified pattern and pushing southwards across the UK as we go through the week, steering an area of low pressure southwards and then becoming cut off towards the Bay of Biscay, Iberia, and circulating down there while weakening as well towards the end of the week. Now let's take a look at the forecast. So this is the start of the day on Wednesday. We've got low pressure to the north, and you can see as we head through the day that moving rapidly southwards, steered by that strong jet stream there, and bringing areas of rain and showers to many places across the country, particularly across western parts where rain will be quite heavy and quite persistent at times. So areas such as Wales, southwest England could be quite a wet day here. Elsewhere, less in the way of rain, but some showers as well, with potentially quite heavy downpours and the potential for the odd rumble of thunder as well on Wednesday. Now, as we go into Thursday, that area of low pressure sitting to the south of the UK generally brings spells of rain and showers to southern parts, and quite breezy as well on Thursday with all those isobars shown there. Towards the end of the day on Thursday as well, an area of rain pushing into northern England and continuing overnight into Friday. So we've got that spell of rain across northern England, but as we go through Friday, that area of low pressure to the south will also push rain up into southern parts of the UK. So rain generally spreading northwards through Friday, quite unsettled, and the unsettled theme continuing into Saturday really, with showers or longer spells of rain across many parts of the country due to that area of low pressure. Now, we haven't looked at this graph in a while, so let's take a look at the spraying opportunities over the last few weeks. And you can see, as we would have expected from last week, with a bit more in the way of unsettled weather, we've had a drop in the number of spraying opportunities, the number of hours that we saw last week, only 88 hours. And when you compare this to a half-term week, the 25th of May to the 31st, we had 123 hours. It was a really settled week with high pressure in charge for much of the week and plenty of spraying opportunities. And actually last week was a similar week to the week previous to half-term, which was also a kind of unsettled week, although that was more to do with the stronger winds that made it unsuitable for spraying. Now let's take a look at the spraying opportunities for the next few days. So ideal spraying conditions are shown in green on this map, and that's just indicating areas where there's light winds and dry conditions. So you can see there's occasional areas of green on the map, so there'll be occasional spells where spraying conditions will be good. However, they're very sort of patchy, quite hit and miss, quite difficult to predict, as it's all to do with the location of those showers and how widespread they are. So the best thing to do in an area in a sort of situation like this is to keep an eye on the forecast, and that will help you make your decisions. Another great tool to use, especially if you're out spraying in unsettled conditions like these, looking for some weather windows, is our WQRadar. You get 5-minute radar observations showing you any rain or showers nearby, as well as observations across the world, so you can see wind speeds nearby and things like that. And you can also get lightning alerts, which is another really useful feature if you're out in the field. So head to wqradar.co.uk to find out more. Now let's take a look a bit further ahead. This chart shows the chance of a dry day in lots of different places across the UK and going forward in time. So you can see over the next sort of 3 days or so, with that area of low pressure tracking southwards and then remaining to the south, we've got a very low chance of a dry day. So many places over the next few days will see spells of rain or showers. Definitely sort of some wet weather and wet and settled weather expected over the next 3 days. But as we head towards the weekend, so you can see Saturday, Sunday and onwards from there, a bit more in the way of sort of medium low chances of dry days, so a higher chance than a very low chance, but still looking like it'll be quite unsettled with spells of rain or showers, but not quite as unsettled as over the next few days. Another thing that is good to note as well is as we head towards the end of June, we've got a few more of those brown colours appearing on the chart. So that indicates a high chance of a dry day, kind of mixed in with those sort of whiter squares showing medium chances and a few green squares in there as well. But it's just suggesting as we head towards the end of June, things will settle down a touch before becoming slightly more unsettled again as we head towards the end of July. Now let's have a look at an ensemble forecast. So this is potential water gain for Oxford, and this will be a happy sight for many of you, as it's great to see that we're looking like we'll be staying in that water gain side of things rather than water loss. So as you can see, as we head into Wednesday, as that rain starts to affect places with that area of low pressure moving southwards, we're going into the water gain. And you can see most ensemble members throughout the coming week or so staying above that 0 line. So we're looking at water gain. Only a few ensemble members going below that line. So only a few ensemble members are suggesting that we'll have a water loss. So this is positive news, particularly going forward. Now to finish the video, let's take a look at our monthly weather forecast. So this is for week 2, and as we discussed, it does look like to continue that unsettled theme a little bit, shown by those blue colours indicating below average pressure, particularly sort of across southern parts of the UK and southeastern Europe. Meanwhile, high pressure building across parts of Scandinavia. And you can see that reflected in the precipitation anomaly. And we've got green colours across much of Europe and across southern Britain as well, where there will be frequent spells of rain and showers. Meanwhile, much of Scandinavia in those brown colours indicating drier than average conditions. We'll also have temperatures pick back up as we head into week 2. So we'll be drawing up a more sort of southeasterly flow to the UK, which will bring those temperatures back up. So those red colours showing above average temperatures for sort of much of the UK and indeed parts of Scandinavia and Northern Europe as well, with only really parts of sort of Iberia and areas close to that remaining in below average temperatures due to the sort of cloudier skies as low pressure still continues to affect places here. As we head into week 3, it does look like a sort of a bit of a change. It's a very sort of weak pressure pattern. You can see we've got high pressure sort of trying to build to the north west of the UK, so that will tend to settle things down a bit, but not really much to discuss about this map. It's a very sort of weak signals as we head into week 3, but generally suggesting, as we saw on that chart that we looked at earlier, things could sort of dry up a little bit towards the end of June. You can see we've got a lot of those brown colours, particularly across southern parts of the UK. But because of that sort of slack pressure pattern, it does not rule out the sort of development of occasional showers elsewhere in Europe. And you can see particularly a lot of green colours across southwestern Europe, where there'll definitely be showers or spells of rain. And indeed across much of the rest of the map, it's kind of hit and miss, very sort of patchy, areas of wetter than average conditions and also areas of drier than average conditions, depending on which places see those showers. And looking at temperatures, still hanging on to that sort of above average temperature signal for sort of western parts of Britain and indeed southern Scandinavia, northern Germany, northern Poland, while sort of southern parts of Europe are in those below average temperatures, but most places close to normal for week 3. Now into week 4 does look like a sign for things to become a little more unsettled once again. We've got the signal for lower than average pressure building across sort of northwestern Europe and potentially bringing us more in the way of showers, spells of rain brought by those areas of low pressure. And you can see again into week 4, the UK back into those green colours showing wetter than average conditions, and indeed across sort of many parts of Scandinavia and into sort of northeastern Europe as well, showing those green colours, while sort of southern places further away from that influence of low pressure, generally in those brown colours indicating drier than average conditions. Taking a look at temperatures, most places across Europe will be close to normal as we head towards week 4, while Scandinavia stays just that bit above average with those pink colours there indicating above average temperatures. So let's take a look at the overview for the UK over the next few weeks or so. So over the next couple of days we've got low pressure staying close by, bringing us showers or spells of rain and windy conditions at times, particularly on Thursday. Now going forward into the following week, it will become slightly warmer but stay generally unsettled with showers and spells of rain, but also a few drier intervals too. As we said earlier, perhaps settling down slightly into the later parts of June before low pressure begins to dominate once again into July, although it must be said that the confidence on this at this stage is quite low, so it's definitely one to watch as we head towards the end of June and beginning of July. Thanks so much for watching our video today. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch with us via social media or leave a comment below on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching.